The Honda Civic's one of the most popular cars ever made, been around for decades and decades, starting with a basic economy sedan. Pardon the waves here, but I'm doing this on my computer screen at close-up because I can't enlarge anything. Their website won't allow it. So we got the Honda Civic sedan, the hybrid. If you don't want a sedan, there are a lot of hatchbacks. The Type R Street Racer, that's expensive. But my favorite is the Honda Civic Si sedan. And I like that reasonable $30,000 price tag. So I ordered one. Let's look at the price sheet. And here's the paperwork they sent. According to Honda, the price is one price, no options, but you know they're going to tack on something. $456 for a paint job. They shouldn't help themselves. And there's a total fee. And no, it's not made in Japan, it's made in Canada. Here's the safety rating in case you're intending to get into a crash. The only engine available is a 1.5 liter turbo putting out 200 horsepower. The only transmission available is a 6-speed manual, which I would want far more than the CVT automatic. It's in the standard economy Civic. And here's the fuel economy claim. Nice if you can get it. We're going to rack up lots of miles to see if this figure's true. Alright, here's what it looks like. And yeah, this gray metallic paint looks nice, but is it worth the extra $460? Come on. Probably not, but if you have to take it, yeah, take it. There's not too much to distinguish this from the typical economy Honda Civic, aside from these bigger brakes. The SI emblem on the grille, and the rear spoiler on the trunk lid for cruising 160 miles per hour on the Autobahn. Yeah, okay, like that's going to happen. If you bought your Honda Civic Si on the West Coast, you'll probably get these summer tires, made for very high performance on dry pavement, not wet pavement. Honda Civic sold on the East Coast usually come with all-season tires. And Goodyear Eagles, okay, thumbs up, no problem with that. And one of the first things we do, we get a vehicle, check and see if there's a spare tire. And nope, just a cheesy tire repair kit. Honda says they do this to save weight because this is a performance car. Okay, I think they're doing it to save money. If you're going to drive out of town, get yourself a spare tire. You get it flat on a 3-day holiday weekend expecting a tow truck to show up. Not going to happen. And like all vehicles we get, we take it out in the dark and say the headlights perform and do a night drive. That is a separate video. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video, so you're not missing anything. Let's take a look at the cabin, and there is room in the glove box, only if you take out that big thick owner's manual. I'd say take it out, put it in the trunk where the spare tire is supposed to go. This just takes up empty space. You're probably never going to read it unless something happens, and then you can get it out of the trunk. This is the way a climate system should be done. 3 simple knobs, a few buttons. Why can't all vehicles be this simple? The info screen is tiny, but how much screen do you really need? Pretty good resolution on the screen. Nothing fancy for the mirror. Simple manual on-off, the way I like it. I don't need auto-dimming mirrors. When they break, they're very expensive to replace. We got a drive mode button, or switch. Individual, sport, normal. Unfortunately, an electronic parking brake. I cannot stand electronic parking brakes. They're pieces of crap. But that's what we get. Can't do anything about that. You need some type of brake with a manual transmission. This is a very slick, smooth gearbox. If you don't like manual transmissions, you'll like this. Very light, as is the clutch. We'll talk about that a little bit later when we start driving. For daily commuting, this is an excellent vehicle. The ride is very comfortable. The steering feels good. Very strong brakes. Enough room inside for me. Now we have to check out the fuel economy to see if it's really that good, but we'll be doing that in the next few minutes and next couple hundred miles. If you really want to enjoy the performance of an SI, you got to take it out in the sticks on curvy mountain roads, not poke around city streets, and we're going to do that tonight. So stay tuned. Oh, and by the way, I do have one complaint after all. No satellite radio. Wasn't on the price sheet. Not on here, just AM FM. I mean, for 30 grand, even the cheapest economy cars nowadays have satellite radio standard. AM FM. Who listens to AM FM anymore? I would think a vehicle is supposed to have everything. A deluxe model would have it, but apparently it doesn't. So let's take this to the mountains and take some tight curves. This is supposed to be a sports sedan after all. And while this is not a racing car, it does take corners very good. Especially considering the Civic started out as a cheap economy car. Although this is an upgrade. Below 3,000 RPM, this little motor doesn't put out much power, but above that, you definitely get a lot more torque and horsepower, and it really moves out. It works very, very well with the 6-speed manual transmission, which is very easy to use, effortless, as is the light clutch. Great fun to operate. And these are very strong brakes, too, by the way. Of course, if you want the maximum fun on a road like this, the Honda Type R Road Racer is the best way to go, but they're running around $50,000 at dealers right now, 10 grand over sticker. This one here, just over $30,000, about as much enjoyable to drive. And about as quick if you're going downhill, like we are now. This is a nice little hot rod. Very, very nice. Fun to drive. And it's quick. All that high performance driving has still got 26.9 to the gallon. That's very impressive. So far, averaging 26.5 mpg in the past 141 miles. Let's reset this and do a highway trip. This little motor is pretty happy on highway speeds at 75 miles per hour. We're pulling around 3,000 RPM, which would be a lot of RPM for some engines, but not this. Something that has a red line of 6,500 RPM. It's very, very quiet and does not feel strained at all. The ride and stability is pretty nice too, although there's a bit of tire noise coming up through the frame, but not enough to worry about. 115.8 miles, 34.6 mpg. If we did a bit more passing, I would have preferred. So I could have done better if we just set the cruise control on, but this is still a good figure. So what's my take on this Honda Civic Si for weekend driving? Is it worth the money we're looking at here? I think it's a very good buy. Combination of daily transportation and sports sedan. And one of the most reliable cars on the planet. Highly recommended. Now if you want to see the link for our headlight test and night drive, coming up right now.